Emily Carter had always been a woman of motion, but lately, she felt more like she was standing still, caught in the tight grip of a life she didn't want anymore. New York City had been her dream once, its lights, its endless noise, its unrelenting energy. But after years of running on empty in a photography job that barely paid her bills, after giving her heart to a man who chose someone else, the city had turned on her. It was too crowded, too harsh, too full of reminders that she had failed at both love and ambition. So when she saw her old Chevy packed with dust in her father's garage, she felt something stir in her chest. A plan began to take shape, not a practical one, not the kind her friends would understand, but the kind that whispered to her bones. Route 66. The Mother Road. A ribbon of history that stretched from Chicago to Los Angeles, carrying dreamers, wanderers, and lovers before her. If she could drive it, photograph it, live it, maybe she could find the part of herself she had lost. She set out with a camera bag, a suitcase, and a notebook filled with blank pages, each mile humming like the start of a new story. For the first few days, the journey was exhilarating. She passed neon signs, diners with waitresses who still called her Hun, and motels with flickering vacancy lights. She took pictures of the road curling into the horizon, of abandoned gas stations with rusted pumps, of desert sunsets that painted the sky in impossible shades of orange and red. But somewhere in Arizona, not far from Flagstaff, her Chevy gave its last sigh. Smoke hissed from beneath the hood, and the car rolled to a halt on the side of the road. Emily sat behind the wheel, her forehead pressed against her hands, and laughed a humorless laugh. She should have expected this. Of course, her grand adventure would stall in the middle of nowhere. She managed to coast to a small town called Ashbrook, a place that looked like it had been plucked from the 1950s and left untouched. The diner was the first thing she saw, with a neon sign of a smiling coffee cup. She pulled her suitcase from the trunk, slung her camera over her shoulder, and pushed open the door. The bell above it jingled. Inside, the air smelled of bacon grease and strong coffee. A jukebox played an old Elvis song, and behind the counter, a man looked up from the engine part he was cleaning with a rag. He wasn't dressed like a waiter. His hands were too rough, too stained with oil. "You look like trouble," he said with a grin. Emily blinked, startled. "Excuse me." He nodded toward the window, where her Chevy sat crooked and smoking. "That car of yours. She's crying for help." "You're telling me," she muttered, sliding onto a bar stool. "Know a good mechanic around here?" The man tossed the rag over his shoulder. "Best one in town." "You?" she asked. "Depends who you ask. I'm Jack. Jack Ramirez." There was something steady in his gaze, the kind of calm that comes from roots sunk deep into the earth. Emily wasn't used to men like that. New York men were fast, distracted, always looking over her shoulder for someone better. Jack's attention was warm, like the desert sun, hard to ignore once it touched you. She told him her car troubles, and he agreed to take a look. Out in the lot, he leaned over the hood, sleeves rolled up, muscles flexing as he tinkered. Emily found herself raising her camera, instinctive as breathing, snapping a shot of the way his face creased in concentration. He glanced up at the click, and she flushed. "Sorry," she said quickly. He grinned. "No need to apologize. Just hope you got my good side." It turned out the repairs would take a few days, parts had to be ordered, and Ashbrook wasn't exactly a place where Amazon delivered overnight. Emily checked into a roadside motel with peeling paint and a neon cactus sign, and for the first time since leaving New York, she felt unsure. She hadn't planned to stop this long. She hadn't planned to meet someone like Jack. Over the next few days, he became part of her rhythm. He invited her back to the diner after closing hours, where he helped his aunt run the kitchen. They sat in a booth long after the last customer left, sipping milkshakes under buzzing lights, talking about everything from childhood dreams to heartbreaks they hadn't healed from. Jack had once been a musician, guitar in hand, heart on fire, playing in small bands that dreamed of big stages. But when his father passed, he stayed in Ashbrook to care for his aunt and run the family garage. "You gave up your dream," Emily said one night, her voice soft. He shrugged, though there was a shadow in his eyes. "Some dreams aren't meant to be chased forever. Life calls you in different directions." Emily thought about New York, about the job she'd lost and the man she'd loved who had walked away. Maybe Jack was right. Maybe the road wasn't about chasing old dreams, but about finding new ones. One afternoon, Jack surprised her. He told her to grab her camera and get in his truck. They drove down Route 66, the radio crackling with classic rock, the windows rolled down. He showed her the places he'd always meant to visit but never had, the painted desert stretching endlessly, a ghost town where wind whispered through broken windows, a stretch of road where the asphalt seemed to disappear into the sky. Emily took picture after picture, each one capturing not just the place but the feeling. And when Jack laughed, head thrown back, eyes alive in the sunlight, she captured that too. The line between friendship and something more blurred, slow and steady, like a Polaroid developing in her hands. Their fingers brushed when he passed her a bottle of water. Their knees touched in the truck, neither of them pulling away. At night, lying awake in her motel bed, Emily wondered how she could feel so drawn to someone she had just met. Was it the magic of the road? Or was it something deeper, something she had been searching for without realizing? On the fifth night, as they sat on the hood of his truck watching the stars, Jack said quietly, "When you leave, will you remember this place?" She turned to him, her heart aching at the thought. "I don't think I could forget even if I tried." He didn't kiss her then. He just looked at her, the kind of look that said everything words couldn't. But fate has a way of testing what the heart wants. The next morning, Emily received a phone call. It was from a gallery in New York, a curator who had seen her work online and wanted to feature her photographs in an upcoming exhibition. It was the chance she had been waiting for, the kind of opportunity she couldn't have imagined when she left the city in despair. Her hands shook as she ended the call. She should have been overjoyed. Instead, she felt torn apart. Jack found her pacing outside the motel. "Good news?" he asked. She nodded, but her eyes filled with tears. "They want me back. A real gallery. This is everything I wanted." "And why do you look like someone just broke your heart?" Emily's throat tightened. "Because I don't want to leave here. I don't want to leave you." The silence between them stretched, heavy and raw. Finally, Jack said, "You can't give this up for me. I won't let you." She shook her head. "And I can't ask you to give up your life here. Your family, your home." That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, torn between two roads. One led back to the city, to the career she had always dreamed of. The other led to Jack, to the quiet, steady love she hadn't expected. Both roads carried risk. Both roads meant sacrifice. In the morning, she packed her suitcase. Jack stood by her car, now repaired, the engine humming smoothly as if it had never broken down. "So this is goodbye?" he asked, voice rough. Emily swallowed hard. "I don't want it to be." He stepped closer, cupping her face in his hands. "Then don't let it be." Their lips met, finally, and the kiss was everything she had imagined, fire and tenderness, promise and fear. It was the kind of kiss that carved itself into memory, that whispered of futures not yet written. When they pulled apart, Emily whispered, "Come with me." He hesitated, torn between the duty that bound him to Ashbrook and the love that called him forward. For a long moment, it seemed he might say no. But then he smiled, the kind of smile that lit up the morning. "Route 66 doesn't end here," he said. "Let's see where it takes us." So they did. Together, they loaded her Chevy, the road stretching out before them. Neon lights, endless skies, motels with vacancy signs, they became the backdrop of their love story. Each mile carried them closer, not just to Los Angeles but to a new beginning neither of them had dared to imagine. And though Emily didn't know what the future would hold, she knew this. Love wasn't just a stop on the road. It was the journey itself.